Safety first, children. Buckle your seatbelts. Control B.
Done.
I'm going to turn the lights on my aircraft so that noisy plane go by.
Blind Abilities welcomes Daniel Brown, piloting us through a demonstration of EuroFly.
There she goes. Right, Shift S for the inside lights.
Indoor lights on.
Shift F for your front lights.
Front lights on.
And Shift B for your back lights.
Back lights on.
And turn on the engines, page up and page down. Shut the doors.
SK737, roll to the runway A2.
A2, okay. There it is.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Daniel's gonna load up his plane with the passengers, fuel up, get her on the runway, and take her up into the clear blue yonder. Buckle up, folks.
SK737, roll to the runway A2.
Okay, we've got to go to A2. Now you hear 1 to my left, so that's runway 1.
SK737, you are clear to take off from the runway A2.
Okay, we got permission to roll. So Alt and Home, and we're now starting down the runway.
ladies and gentlemen, we have successfully...
So coming along on this demonstration flight by Daniel Brown. We hope you have a safe flight, and thanks for listening.
Please get their attention if you would like to ask a question or need anything. We wish you a pleasant flight.
Welcome to EuroFly.
Why, thank you.
About EuroFly.
Okay, there has been a major update to EuroFly, which is very good, because by major update we mean it's way more realistic to fly now than it was previously, but the downside to realism is more complexity. So I thought it'd be useful just to record this tutorial, kind of talk people through how to set their aircraft up, get passengers loaded, and then get yourself taken off and flying in the right direction. Before I do that though, I do just want to say there are a couple of things here. Firstly, if you scroll down this menu list of items, you'll come to Options, and it's worth just taking a look in there and setting things up as you want. You can control all kinds of stuff in there, but it is worth going through and kind of customizing the game. And once you start flying, you'll understand more what I'm talking about when I say that too, but it is worth taking a look at. The second thing is there is a multiplayer aspect to EuroFly that there wasn't previously. So now other pilots can see when you take off, where you're flying, all that stuff, and indeed you can see what they're doing too. But you do have to register your profile with the server in order to do that, and you'll be prompted to do that whenever you first try and fly, be it a free flight or performing a task. So obviously you don't have to register if you don't want to, but it's kind of fun to look and see what other people are doing sometimes. Okay, now I'm midway through a trip already. I've flown from Russia so far to somewhere in Ukraine, and I've now got to go to somewhere in Slovakia, so I'm just going to go down and complete this task.
Tasks.
Okay, so we're now in the airport, in the cockpit of my aircraft. Now, when you first start a route every day, the first time you open the game every day, sorry, not game simulator, you will start off in the hangar. Now, I've already been flying today, so I'm not in the hangar. But if you are, the only thing to remember is that you do need to control O to open the hangar doors. And because if you forget to do that, you're going to drive straight into them and crash your plane. But other than that, everything we're going to do here is pretty much what you would do. So the very first thing we need to do is turn on the computer with the Control-Shift-K.
Computer on.
And getting some noisy thunder there in the background. We'll just turn that down for a minute. Now, I can't remember the name of the airport that I need to go to, so I'm just going to do Shift and A to find that out. So that will just give me all of these, the task details. Okay, Pobrik, Slovakia. Okay, so we'll escape out of that. We will do a Control and F8, Control F8 to bring up the list of airports around us. And then I can just do S, first letter navigation, and find that airport. Okay, and that's where we're going, so I'm going to hit spacebar to add that to my navigation. Then escape out of that. Okay, so that's now where I'm flying to, and I can confirm that with a Control N. Yeah, okay. So the next thing I need to do, safety first, children, buckle your seatbelts, Control B.
Done.
I'm going to turn the lights on on my aircraft. Now this isn't something that you really need to do, in all honesty, but it's worth getting into the habit because at some point this might be introduced into the game, particularly for your outside lights. If you're flying at night with outside lights on, obviously that could be dangerous. It doesn't seem to make any difference at the moment so far as I can tell, but like I say, it's a good habit to get into. Just let that noisy plane go by. There she goes. Right, Shift S for the inside lights.
Indoor lights on.
Shift F for your front lights.
Front lights on.
And Shift B for your back lights.
Back lights on.
And turn on the engines, page up and page down.
Ready.
And we're ready to roll. I'm going to press B just to release the brakes.
Off.
Now, we do need to set up the radio next, so Control Shift F turns the radio on.
Done. Set frequency.
And we have to set frequency. Now, previously, you only had one frequency to deal with. Now, though, the game is more realistic, as I say, and you actually have to either communicate with ground controllers or approach controllers. Now, approach, think of that as being runway to runway, so once you get to the runway to take off, you want to be on approach frequency, and then they will bring you down to land, but the rest of the time we're dealing with ground, and that's the first number that will be given here. So I'll press F, and they're saying for ground it's 115.7, so Alt F to enter the frequency 115.7.
SK737, this is ground, welcome.
Okay, and we've got it. Sorry, just had to scratch my head. Okay, and then we want to tell ground that we want to load passengers on board for this flight, so I'm going to do a Control W for that.
SK737, roll to gate 3.
And she's telling me gate 3. So once I start rolling, you will hear a beep once we get to it. Not sure if it'll be on my right or left yet, but we have to turn that way once we get there to roll us to the gates. Now, in order to move, because we're in a Category 2 aircraft, and this will be the same for Category 1, you do Alt Home to accelerate, Alt End to decelerate, and then when you get to your desired speed, you press the delete key to lock that in. Obviously, if you're in a Category 3 aircraft, you can just do an Alt and R and type in whatever speed you want to go to, and it will automatically accelerate you that. But we don't have that fancy gizmo on this Category 2 plane, so we're going to do an Alt Home, and then I'm going to press the R key to check my speed. And I'd really, because we're still rolling along the ground here, when you get to corners, you really don't want to be going any faster than 75 kilometers an hour. When you're on the ground, there is a speed limit. You can't go over 100, but you don't really want to be going that fast for cornering because you could come off the runway doing that. So Alt Home, and we'll try and get ourselves somewhere close to 75. I'll press R.
41,970.
Okay, check it again. 78. That'll do it. So I'll press delete, and there's the gates on our right.
Gates.
So I've done a Control right arrow, and I'm coming around to the right now.
Gates.
There we go, now we're rolling towards the gates. I think she said gate 3, but I can't remember, but I can press spacebar.
SK737, roll to gate 3.
And that just confirms the last radio message that you got. Okay, so there's gate 1. Now you don't have to turn into these gates, you just have to stop in front of them, is all you do. So it doesn't matter which side they're on, you've only got to stop. There's gate 2.
Gate 2. Gate 2.
Oh, and there's the rain. My poor old passengers are going to get wet when they board here. Okay, and there's gate 3, so I've hit Alt and End, and that will slow me back down again.
33,0.
Gate 3.
Okay, and we've stopped, so I'm going to apply the brake by pressing B again, and then I'm going to turn the engines off.
Gate 3.
Now, you don't have to turn the engines on and off to load and unload passengers, but I do have to because I also need to fuel up as well, so can't do that with the engines on. So, Control R to open the doors. And then a Control W will bring the passengers on, and here they come. You can hear them.
Gate 3. Gate 3.
Now, I also need to put fuel on board, as I say. Now, I'm just going to do a Control-Shift-E, be lazy and just fully load the aircraft. But if you know a specific amount that you want, you can do Control-and-E and type that in. But I can't be bothered to figure all that out, so I'm just going to do a Control-Shift-E and fully load up on fuel.
Gate 3. 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 Gate 3.
SK737, roll to the runway, A2.
Okay, so you probably heard Jaws saying 187 there, which is telling me that I've got 187 passengers on board. A big clap of thunder. So I'm going to shut the doors. And you also heard the ground controller telling me that I could roll to a runway, which I can't remember what she said.
SK737, roll to the runway, A2.
A2, okay. So we've got to back out of here now. But there are several things we need to do. So first of all, let's start these engines back up.
Gate 3.
Ready.
Okay.
Gate 3.
Now, I need to turn on various things within the aircraft.
Tempering on.
I'm not sure what tempering means, but you do have to turn it on, and that's with a Control-Shift-Q. We need to turn on our storm radar, that's Control-Shift-S.
Storm radar on.
We don't actually need to turn on TCAS because I've actually turned in-flight collisions off, but I do it anyway.
TCAS on.
That's Control-Shift and C. Now, what TCAS is, it lets you know if you're within close proximity of another aircraft. So it's an anti-collision thing, and it will tell you to dive. But as I say, I've actually turned in-flight collisions off because it's a new thing that's been added to the game, and frankly, it's kind of a little bit overkill. It seems like you have to avoid a collision every couple hundred kilometers, which doesn't seem terribly realistic to me. At least I hope it's not terribly realistic. That would make me want to fly less, I think.
Ventilation on.
Okay, ventilation. So it's just circulating the air, I assume. And that's Control-Shift-V.
Pressure on.
And pressure is Control-Shift-P. And actually, so I've just worked out what Control-Shift-Q would be, then that's obviously a temperature, I'm assuming, so that climate control, essentially. So that's everything you have to do. So it's temperature, which is Control-Shift-Q, your storm radar, Control-Shift-S, TCAS, Control-Shift-C, ventilation, Control-Shift-V, and pressure is Control-Shift-P. We do also need to turn on our transponder. We don't have to do that yet, but I'm going to do it now just because I've kind of got into the habit of thinking about that at the same time. So that's Control-Shift and T, and that will say done. Okay, now we do need to reverse. So I'm going to hit backspace,
Done.
which puts the aircraft into reverse, and then I'm going to Alt-Home and start backing us out of here. Oh, I've got to release the brake, I forgot to do that.
Off.
There you go. B to release the brake. Alt and home, and we will start rolling backwards. We'll set it to 54. Now, we also, on this, and you're now going to get to hear this, we are going to play the safety announcement. Yes, there is one, and you do that by hitting Alt and I.
Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to pay attention to the following presentation of safety procedures of this aircraft. Your hand baggage must be placed in the overhead lockers or under the seat in front of you. Do not place any baggage near emergency exits. Fasten your seatbelt and adjust it. To unfasten it, lift the upper part of the buckle. We suggest to keep your seatbelt fastened while seated. For takeoff and landing, make sure that the seat back is in the upright position and that the footrest is stowed. All emergency exits of this aircraft are indicated by illuminated exit sign. Floor-level illuminated escape path will guide you to the exits. In the case of loss of cabin pressure, oxygen masks will automatically be released. Strongly pull a mask towards you, cover nose and mouth and breathe normally. Fit your mask first and then help those who need your assistance. The mask works perfectly even if the plastic bag does not inflate. Your life jacket is located in the pocket under your seat. In case of landing at sea, put the jacket on, Fasten clips in the front and pull the straps to adjust the jacket to your size. Inflate the jacket by pulling the red handle just before leaving the aircraft. If necessary, blow air into the rubber tube. If you use an emergency window exit, inflate your life jacket only outside the aircraft. For further information, please check the safety instruction card located in the seat pocket in front of you. Thank you for your attention. Have a nice flight.
Okay, got through that. Now, I did stop after we rolled past gate 1 because I want to show you what we need to do next. Now, this is very important. When we get back to, if we keep reversing, we will get back to the beeps and the word gate. And it's very important at that point that we then turn the aircraft north. Now, you do need to press the letter X, and you'll hear 90, which means I'm currently facing east. So north is obviously 0, east is 90, south is 180, west is 270. Now, you always have to face north in order to get to the runway. So in this instance, when I get back to the beeps that say gate, I need to turn left. But you do need to pay attention to that, because if you're facing west, obviously, you've got to turn right. So I'm going to go back to reversing now, but once we hear the word gates, I'm going to turn my plane so it's facing north. And then because I'm reversing, I'm also then going to brake and stop, and then put myself going forwards again. There you go, we nailed 75 that time.
Gates.
Okay, so the moment I heard gates, I sent myself so that I will be facing north, and I'll soon be moving forwards in a northerly direction. Okay, we've completed the turn because we've got the beep, so I'll press Alt and End to slow me down.
Parking position. Off.
Press backspace again, and now we can go forwards. So we're now going to go back past these gates.
Gates.
Any minute now. There it
Ladies
is.
and gentlemen, welcome aboard a EuroFly aircraft. We will be taking off in a few minutes. Please fasten your seatbelts. Thank you.
SK737, roll to the runway, A2.
Okay, we've got to go to A2. Now you hear 1 to my left, so that's runway 1. And there's runway 2. To my left, I beg your pardon, it's to my right. As is runway 2. Now once I get to runway 3, I'm going to start slowing us down. Back down to around about 70-ish so that I can make the turn. Okay, there we go. Slow that down.
3.
Yeah, 71, that'll do it.
3.
Now to explain the way they do these airports now, because there's a big... I assume this must be a category 3 airport. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we get here. Yeah, it is. Okay. So I'm turning left. I've done a control left arrow to turn left. Okay, I'm just going to stop this for a second.
SK737, roll to the runway, A2.
Okay, so we've got to get to A2. Now the way they do these, 1, 2 and 3, which we went past, they are runways, but to A and B, so when you get A1, B2, C3, A3, whatever, you actually get to A, and then you have to turn onto that taxiway, and then we will get to the runways, which would be A1, A2 and A3. And if you get B, you actually have to go to the B taxiway, turn onto that, and then you will get the runways. So just to explain that. Okay, so we are going to...
SK737, roll to the runway, A2.
So at this point I'm going to set up approach now instead of ground on my radio, so press F for the frequency for approach. 133.3.
Squawk 3, 4, 8, 9.
Oops. 3, 4, 8, 9.
A1.
3, 4, 8, 9. Yeah. Just slow me down again. I'll just stop for a second. Oh, gee, sorry, I'm Having trouble typing this because I can't get my hand under the desk. 7, 8, 9.
Identification
There we go, that's
confirmed.
better. Okay, so what I did there was put the code into the transponder, finally. You do Alt-T. So once you contacted approach, that's what it will do. It will give you a squawk number, which in this case was 3489. I did Alt-T and typed in 3489. So we'll start rolling again, because our runway is the next one, and it will be on our right-hand side. When we get to it, we have to press F1, and if we're given permission to take off, we will, and if we're not, we won't. But we do have to set the aircraft up. So I will actually stop so I can set the aircraft up properly and show you how to do that. A2. Okay, so we've got a right turn.
A2.
Once we get the ding to say the turn is completed, I will do an alt and end, and we will stop the plane. Okay. So we need now 3 things. We need to extend the flaps, and you do that with the Control and F. We need to set the altitude that we're going to fly to, and you're always sent up to 500 meters first of all. So you do an Alt-Z for you Americans, Alt-Z for you Brits. Type in 500, and it confirmed it there, 500. I also need to know my takeoff speed. Now, for the aircraft properties, it's Control and Enter, and it will give you loads of information about your aircraft in here. So it's telling me that I'm on a 707 and it's a Category 2 plane. Number of seats 219. And we've got 187 passengers on board. Now, just for expediency's sake, you can press C for current takeoff speed. Okay, and that's 264. So remember again, once we start accelerating here, I'll hit escape to get out of that. We've got to keep an eye on our speed and then hit delete when we get close to it. You don't have to be absolutely exact, but you do have to be pretty close. Okay, so I'm going to press F1 and see if we can get permission to take off.
SK737, all runways are currently in use. Please try again in a moment.
And of course, they're now going to make me sit here and wait.
SK737, all runways are currently in use. Please try again in a moment.
If you want to know what weather's doing, by the way, you can just press the letter W on its own.
SK737, you are clear to take off from the runway A2.
Okay, we got permission to roll, so Alt and Home, and we're now starting down the runway. And you'll know when we lift off here because we've got the rumble of the wheels on the tarmac. This is something new as well, and you'll notice when it disappears.
150, 970.
Okay, we're getting close. There we go. Oh, I actually nailed it.
SK737, climb and continue heading north.
Now, when you get that message there, climb and continue heading north, you do have to do a Control G, that lifts up the landing gear, and a Control F.
SK737, climb to 500 and set heading towards your destination.
Okay, so we are now airborne. So I do have an autopilot on this plane, and I'm going to make use of him. So Alt-P for your autopilot.
Automatic navigation on.
Oh, I should say automatic navigation, yeah, because technically it's not an autopilot. We'll get a ding here, there we go. So we're now facing the right way, and I can now accelerate the plane all the way up to maximum speed. So I do that Alt and Home again. And there you go, we are now accelerating. And I can press Z or Z, depending on where you're from. Now tell me my altitude. I am now at the 500.
SK737, continue on your present course and altitude.
Okay, so you're just going to hold me here for a minute, and then in a few seconds' time, he'll probably tell me to ascend to 10,000. I think that's the operating ceiling for this aircraft.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have successfully took off and you may now unfasten your seatbelts. During the flight, our staff will be regularly walking through the aisles, so please get their attention if you would like to ask a question or need anything. We wish you a pleasant flight.
SK737, climb and maintain 10,000.
Yep, so Alt and Z, Alt Z,
SK737, climb and maintain 10,000.
Oops. Get enough zeros in there. I really am having a hard time typing like this. Okay, we got it that time. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We are now airborne, so there's a heck of a lot more to it. It definitely is more complex. If it makes you feel any better, I think I crashed my plane about 6 times before I finally got it airborne. But I have got more used to it now. The only other thing that I would warn people about once you're airborne is, and this kind of does depend a little bit on what category, well, completely actually, on what category of plane you are flying, but previously there was no account of drag taken on your aircraft. And what I mean by that is, when your wheels are down, your plane flies slower than when your wheels are up. And that didn't previously used to matter, but it really does matter now. So when you're bringing your aircraft into land, let's say that your landing speed is 260 kilometers an hour. What you actually need to do is hit roughly 290 kilometers an hour of a Cat 2 aircraft, and then when you lower your wheels right at the end, when the landing gear goes down, it will knock off another 30k and actually be right. The very first time I did it, I saw that I needed to get to whatever it was, say 260, so I got there, and then when I put the wheels down at the end, of course, it slowed my plane beyond that point, and I crashed. So there you have it, though. It is a lot more complicated, but it's a lot of fun if this thing is your kind of thing. So there you go, ladies and gents. That is the latest version of EuroFly, and I hope you guys found this helpful.
Follow Daniel Brown on Twitter at HarpMaster100.
When we share
what we see through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations and the realities of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.